will start in literally a few seconds. I can meanwhile already introduce myself. My name is Justina Bieliauskaitė. I'm today representing Digital Skills and Jobs Platform Secretariat, and I will be moderating today's event. So we just give a couple of minutes for more people to start because I see many are logging in, and then we will start. Okay, so we will slowly start. I see many people already joined in, but probably some more are coming in. So we can start with introduction of agenda in the next slide, please, while more people are joining. So as you know, today's event will focus on the new Digital Europe program call on advanced digital skills, one specific call on introducing support to advanced digital skills academies, and the other one on competitions for advanced digital skills. We will start today's session with a general introduction of the 9th Digital Europe program call. Then we will get into more details with 2 presentations on each call specifically, which will be followed by some information for those of you who maybe did not apply in the past or perhaps applied and still have some questions about administrative and legal matters. And we will close today's session, of course, with some explanation on how to submit the application, how the applications will be evaluated and awarded. Having said that, we can probably jump into some housekeeping rules in the next slide, please. So, and objectives, yeah, of course, you probably know them if you are here. Of course, our objective is to present the call, to give time for you to ask your questions and for us to support you in this application process, to answer your questions and encourage you to network as well, join discussions on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which can support your application process and facilitate the entire process for you to be able to apply. So next slide, please. For the housekeeping rules, you will have your microphone and camera off. That is done by default because we are all in webinar mode here. So that is not a problem. You probably cannot change anything in this, but you are allowed to ask questions. To do that, you use the chat function, and I kindly ask you to provide your name and email address together with your question. I will remind that a few times during the day today. And that is very important because we simply do not have enough time to perhaps answer all your questions, but we do want to support you and answer them in the future. So you will get responses later on, and all of them will be published as well in the platform. But for us to be able to do that, please give us your name and email address. Don't forget that, and I will remind you on this. Additional note is we kindly ask you not to use any AI note-taking tools. Because the session is being recorded, you will receive both slides and the recording later on that you will be able to find in Digital Skills and Jobs platform. For this reason, because we also respect your privacy, we believe that there is no need to have AI tool. And if you have more questions about privacy policy, please feel free to contact our team. Otherwise, the policy has been provided to you upon the registration. Because I know that a lot of your questions will be around meeting each other, would there be a way to meet the participants or matchmake? We jump ahead of these questions, and I also want to inform you that indeed next week, on the 9th of December, there will be a matchmaking event for you. So today you hear everything about the requirements, the calls, and next week you can meet other fellow participants and organizations interested in these calls. I just kindly ask you to follow 2-step registration procedure for this matchmaking event. So first you'll register for the event itself, and then you will have to register and create your account on open matchmaking platform. I guess this is quite typical and usual type of procedure, but all the information you can find if you follow the QR link. Anyway, we will send you some reminders also during the event. My colleagues will share some links in the chat. So do not worry about it. And I think with that, we can already start. So our first presentation today is general introduction to the call, kindly presented to us by Nadia Kernhen. So Nadia, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you and good morning, everybody. My name is Nadia Kantchen. I work at DG Connect in Unit G2, where we kind of support the work on advanced digital skills in the EU. I am here today to give you a bit of an introduction to the call, some policy background, some information on where the two topics that we're discussing today fit in the overall objective of what we do, so that you can have a bit of an idea of how it fits with the rest of the work that we do. For those who don't know, in DG Connect in G2, we oversee the policy side of the Digital Europe calls under SO4, and our colleagues from HDR are managing the operational side of it and are the contracting authority. Next slide, please. So, as I said already, we are here today for a Digital Europe call under specific objective 4. That is the specific objective that is really focused on supporting advanced digital skills in the EU. So really supporting the advanced digital skills in the workforce so that advanced digital technologies can be deployed with the objective of fostering the digital transition, fostering overall competitiveness of EU companies. Overall, so over the whole 7 years of the current mandate, so to speak, in total, we will invest over 400.5 million euros. So that kind of, I think, gives you a bit of an idea of the magnitude of what the Commission is investing in digital skills. And it also kind of already previews that there's a lot of projects that we have funded already, some things that will come up. And I'm emphasizing this just to so that you have an idea of what is in kind of the whole portfolio, because one of the calls, Elevate, will kind of target bringing these things a bit together. The Digital Europe program, and specific objective 4, supports the overall policy goals in the Digital Decade Policy Program. In terms of skills, there's 2 specific targets. One is to have 20 million ICT specialists employed in the EU by 2030, and at the same time increasing ICT graduates and also attracting more girls and women into the ICT field. And then accompanying that goal is a target of having at least 80% of the population having basic digital skills. But the work that we do with the digital program is really focused mostly on the ICT specialists goal. So that is kind of the one target that we are supporting here. Next slide, please. So we always say we intervene along the continuum. So we have different target areas where we invest, where we call for projects to support kind of the whole pipeline of talent, starting with primary and secondary education, tertiary education, and then also professional upskilling and reskilling, basically lifelong learning, adult learning, updating your knowledge. And then we have certain knowledge and community building projects, some skills intelligence to really help projects come a bit more, well, target more skills gaps and also target more the needs of the companies. 2 elements are very important in all of the projects that we call for. One is to bring academia, training institutions, research, and industry together. If you've applied for some of our calls already, you know this. We always have quite, I wouldn't say strict, but demands on the consortium composition. So in the work that we do under the digital program, it's really important that academia, training, institutions, research, and industry work together with the aim of really, well, financing or developing training activities that are state of the art and respond to the needs of the companies. This is not, we're not in Horizon where we do research. This is really figuring out what do companies need at the moment, what do they need in the next couple of years, and where can we best support those needs. The focus has traditionally over the last years been very much on tertiary education, so we've funded a lot of higher education programs, bachelor, masters, and PhDs, but most projects went for master programs. But we've also dipped a bit our fingers into short-term trainings, and in terms of supporting early interest into digital skills, we've been supporting Code Week, EU Code Week, for a long time now, over 10 years. It's really this grassroots initiative that tries to make coding popular among school kids and really get them into, show them in a playful way how coding can be useful, how computational thinking can be useful, how you can actually make a change in the world with this. And with our upcoming, or with the current work program, the idea or the objective was really to go a bit more into building kind of ecosystems around different digital technology. So before we had 4 calls where we were funding higher education programs, and it was a bit always seeing where basically you could apply with a lot of different topics as long as they were digital technologies for those projects. And then with the current work program, we have decided to establish multiple digital skills academies. There was already the Cybersecurity Skills Academy that is established already, but we had a call a couple of months ago to establish 3 new ones on AI, on quantum, and on virtual worlds. And there will be, that call is being evaluated right now, and there will be another call in 27 for chips. And the idea there is really that these ecosystem kind of bring together and draw in what we've done before with these more scattered, fragmented funding of individual training programs, and build strong ecosystems that can then target to tertiary education, that can then target to professional upskilling and reskilling needs, that can then target bringing more girls and women in ICT, that bring in skills intelligence that is done. So really focus a bit more what we are doing. These academies will need coordination, support, which is where the Elevate call will come in, that colleague of mine will present you later. And then we are also trying to strengthen a bit more this part of the work that we do on showing young people, in this case students, what you can do with ICT, getting them interested in the topic, creating interdisciplinary teams so that also students from other disciplines feel like they can participate in advancing digital technologies, in deploying technologies, showing them what kind of real world problems they can actually solve using digital technologies. That is where the competitions come in, this whole portfolio, which is the second topic that we will talk about today. All to say, this is a bit where the 2 topics fill in. Next slide, please. So a bit of policy background apart from the Digital Decade policy program, which is kind of the overall targets. So the Commission has published the skills package in March this year. That was a package containing 3 communications: the Union of Skills, the STEM Education Strategic Plan, and the Basic Skills Action Plan. This whole package targets skills overall. So it's not just specific to digital skills, but of course, the different initiatives that we do, the objectives that we're trying to fulfill with our programming work in the Digital Europe funding mechanism are inserted there. So if you want to have a look, you will see the digital skills academies that are coming are in there. The competitions, which we will talk about today, are in there. this overall objective of really attracting more girls and women into ICT is there. There's an important part about skills intelligence and a high-level skills board. So really bringing skills intelligence overall together. For example, we are also funding, I haven't mentioned this yet, the data space for skills in our unit, where it's really about facilitating kind of this common market for skills data, facilitating data sharing in a safe and secure way. So that will feed into that. And then there will be a skills high-level board that really tries to unify a bit the policies on different skills. There's an important element in there on attracting talent and fostering skills portability. This is also important for Elevate, that will come up, because of course it's really important to ensure that there's portability of skills within EU countries, for example, between third countries and EU countries, but also this element of if I do an upskilling course at work, or even if I just through working train myself, acquire new skills, how can that be recognized? How could that be transferred then to new jobs? So that's really an important element, which Elevate will also cover. In terms of international cooperation, well, yeah, so on the right side of the screen, you can see a couple of kind of vertical connect strategies. So on AI, on quantum, and then I've put the virtual worlds one also. So there, I mean, the overall goals are in Digital Decade and in skills package, but we also make sure that in our vertical strategies, we have a skills aspect in there, so that basically tech deployment is thought always in combination with skills. So if you have any questions, if you want to see what specifically is planned on these vertical domains, have a look at those strategies. You will find a skills aspect as well. And then in terms of international cooperation, there will be a pilot with India, European Legal Gateway Office pilot that's starting with ICT and trying to foster international talent mobility there. So that's a bit of a policy background of what's going on in skills at the moment. Next slide, please. This is my final slide, just in case you're interested, to give you an overview that you can come back to what kind of projects are funded under which calls already. The only thing I want to highlight here is I've linked the projects brochure. So we have a coordination and support action called LEADS, and they regularly do a projects brochure. They regularly update it, where you can see what are the individual projects doing that are funded. So if you're interested to get more information on some of them, have a look at the brochure. I think it's always helpful and a good reference to see what's happening out there. This is the end of my part of the presentation. I think now we are moving on to the actual two topics of the call that we're discussing today.
Thank you very, very much, Nadia. It's a very, very helpful and useful background for our next presentations indeed. I think there had not been very specific questions on background. I see people are jumping in to speak more and ask more about the specific calls, which is natural. So I just kindly ask everyone in the chat a few more minutes of patience. And please do not forget to add your name and email address. I see most of you are doing this just right. So keep your questions coming. Meanwhile, we will jump now into more details on the first Elevate call. And for that, we have here Vitis Tilgard that will guide us through this presentation. Vitis, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Justina, and good morning, everyone. My name is Vitis Tilgard. I'm a colleague of Nadia's from DG Connect, and I'm very pleased to be presenting the call on the European League of Advanced Digital Skills Academies, or Elevate for short. So this is the coordination and support action with a budget of 7.2 million euros, which is dedicated to creating a structured, coherent, and collaborative ecosystem around all the advanced digital skills initiatives that are funded under the Digital Europe program, as well as beyond. Next slide, please. So Elevate responds to a very practical need, because across Europe, the Commission has funded a large and continuously growing set of advanced digital skills initiatives, from advanced digital skills academies in cyber, AI, virtual worlds, quantum technologies and semiconductors to specialized education programs, the Leads by 2030 projects, and other coordination and support actions. And these initiatives represent significant investments and expertise, but they remain a bit dispersed. So each operates with its own partners, governance, visibility, and outreach. And with Elevate, we're trying to seek coordination so we don't risk duplicating efforts, competing approaches to quality, or any missed opportunities for scale. So Elevate is designed as an umbrella initiative that will connect all these pieces of the ecosystem. And it's going to provide a light but effective governance framework, ensure collaboration among all the existing and upcoming academies, help align methodologies and standards, generally increase visibility across Europe, and give stakeholders a single entry point via the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which is well established, where the academies also will be hosted. So the purpose is not to replace existing projects, but to federate them, to strengthen them, and to make sure that they work together in a way that's more coherent, more efficient, and more impactful. Next slide, please. So Elevate is organized around 4 pillars, which I will walk you through now. So the first pillar is focused on building structured cooperation across all the advanced digital skills actions. So concretely, the project will establish an agile multi-stakeholder governance structure that brings together the sectoral academies, all the relevant EU-funded projects, and other initiatives that are working in the same ecosystem. And so this governance will ensure that all the activities are aligned, that they're complementary, and that they're oriented towards the shared objectives that Nadia just presented. The second pillar will strengthen the academies and all the related initiatives by developing shared tools and quality mechanisms. So that includes designing and implementing a European seal of quality or excellence for ICT training, creating a European certification mechanism for modular learning credentials that will be aligned with the Council recommendation on micro-credentials, developing a blueprint for fellowships, as well as creating a structured approach to support the existing EU or upcoming EU initiatives to support the attraction of third country ICT specialists, such as the legal gateway pilot in India that Nadia also just mentioned. But also establishing mentoring programs with particular attention to underrepresented groups, organizing a yearly EU-wide virtual job and career fair, as well as an alumni network for graduates of the depth specialized education programs. So all of these activities will support consistency, quality, and long-term sustainability across the ecosystem. Then the third pillar focuses on visibility and outreach. So Elevate will be leveraging the Digital Skills and Jobs platform as its main communication channel to ensure that the academies and all the related initiatives are visible across the EU. So it's going to promote their activities, share their results, highlight success stories, as well as supporting the communication needs of the European Advanced Digital Skills competitions, which will be presented in just after my presentation. So the goal here is to make the entire ecosystem more accessible, more recognizable, and visible to learners, employers, policymakers, but also the general public. And finally, the fourth pillar will provide evidence and insight. So Elevate will carry out a market analysis of advanced digital skills supply and demand across Europe, assessing whether the training offers match the current and the future needs of the labor market, and map existing skills need analysis that are already being performed. So this material will be collected into a public repository on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform and will allow policymakers, education providers, and industry to rely on shared EU-wide intelligence. And this will also support initiatives like the EU Talent Pool or the Legal Gateway offices. Next slide, please, as I will turn to the expected outcomes. So by the end of the project, Elevate should have established a fully functioning multi-stakeholder governance system, enabling structured coordination among all the academies and the related projects. It should also have developed a stakeholder engagement plan detailing how each part of the ecosystem will be involved. On the capacity building side, we expect a comprehensive framework for the seal of quality or excellence, as well as for the European certification mechanism. Again, a blueprint for the fellowships, a mentoring program that supports both students and professionals, and additionally, the EU-wide Advanced Digital Skills Alumni Network, as mentioned, which will help the graduates from the EU-funded programs to stay connected, to mentor new learners, and to build professional communities across Europe. We also expect a communication plan covering all 4 of the pillars, a detailed market analysis of the advanced digital skills supply and demand, and a public repository of skills need intelligence that will be hosted on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. So these KPIs reflect the deliverables, and they include a number of trainings awarded with a seal of quality or excellence, the number of networking events organized, the number of virtual jobs and career fairs, including the number of participants and employers involved, participation figures for mentoring, particularly of women, and the number of member states represented, as well as the number of trainings added to the Digital Skills and Jobs platform and the size of the alumni network. So these KPIs would allow us to measure both the reach, but also the engagement and the sustainability of the actions. And then final slide, a bit more on the practical aspect. So Elevate will fund 1 coordination and support action with up to 7.2 million euros at a 100% funding rate. And the project will last 48 months. And multi-beneficiary applications are mandatory. And the consortium should include at least 3 independent entities from 3 different eligible countries. And given the nature of the project, we strongly encourage consortia that bring together a broad and diverse set of actors. So this includes higher education institutions, vocational educational training providers, research organizations, centers of excellence, public administrations, industry partners, including SMEs, employment and HR organizations, alliances, social partners, and NGOs. And the consortium should be able to demonstrate that they have a clear capacity to manage coordination at EU level and to engage meaningfully with the existing academies and all the related projects. And a final note is that financial support to third parties is not allowed under this topic. So to conclude, Elevate is really designed to become the backbone of Europe's advanced digital skills ecosystem, and it will connect existing initiatives, strengthen their capacity, and increase their visibility and create the intelligence we need to guide future actions. So we very much look forward to receiving some strong proposals that are capable of taking on this central coordination role. And I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Vitis, for this detailed presentation of Elevate Call, which indeed plays a very, very important role in coordinating all the different actions on digital skills. So once again, I encourage people in the chat to share their questions, putting their name and the email address. Meanwhile, Vitis, maybe there is one question. It's a bit maybe more general, but perhaps could also be very useful in a light of Elevate Call. So there is a participant asking wherever call is connected somehow to use ESCO skill mapping, and should there be something done on this regard in the application?
So I just want to make sure that I understand the question. It's about skills intelligence.
It was not specified in the question wherever it's on skills intelligence, but generally should the application somehow align or mention skills mapping of ESCO? Should there be some kind of integration between ESCO skill mapping and the way proposal works, or some particular activities within the proposals?
Okay, so then maybe it's more related to the pillar that will propose well, maybe I should go back to the quality, the seal of quality or excellence, which indeed has to be aligned as much as possible to existing frameworks, and generally also the skills intelligence parts should be or is encouraged to be linked to ESCO or other frameworks, and especially with all existing intelligence, for example, but with the Leads by 2030 project that I mentioned, which has already carried out quite a lot of skills intelligence. There's also a lot available already on the digital skills and jobs platform as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we don't have for now any further questions. So I guess presentation was very detailed and very well done, Vytis. Actually, there is one additional question maybe coming in now, which is, I think, a good one. So sorry, I keep you a bit longer. How is the Elevate call related to the project called LEAD? So LEAD's project, I think Nadia also had a little logo. I'm sure you're well aware of that. So maybe you can explain a bit what's the relation, what do you expect?
Yeah, so indeed, the nature of, and the objectives of what we're looking for with Elevate, it's very much connected to existing projects. So it's whether it's the academies, whether it's specialized education programs, or it's supporting actions like LEADs, but also on getting more girls and women into ICT. So there is a very big and very strong connection to those different projects. With LEADs specifically, it would be very much on the market and skills intelligence. So indeed, I mean, there's a very strong connection there. Also with the digital skills and jobs platform, because they're hosting and will be hosting the new academies. So there will be a big cooperation and coordination role there between the projects, including with LEADs.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I'm sure there is no other question coming in. So thank you so much, Vytis. And we can continue with the second presentation of the second call on advanced digital skills competitions. And here we have Maria Rosaria Coduti, who will kindly guide us through this presentation. I just remind, please put your name, last name, and email address for all the questions in the chat. And Maria Rosaria, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Justina, and good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to present you the European Advanced Digital Skills Competitions. So we're talking about a CSA of 7 million euros budget, 100% funding rate. And we can move to the next slide, please. And my colleagues, Nadia and Vytis, already explained quite well the context of all these projects that we are launching. And these competitions, I think it's very interesting and also an exciting call, because it is really about nurture the advanced digital skills talent that we have in EU. Of course, it is very much linked to all the other projects funded under DEP, and very much related to the priority of this commission, which is really improve the use of cutting-edge technologies for the benefit of society and economy. And we want to do that also by harnessing the potential, the creativity of young people, young students. And we want to include women as much as possible, of course. We want that the competition cooperate with Elevate that Vytis just presented in a number of ways that I will detail a bit later, and to cooperate and create synergies also with the other DEP funding projects, so the Advanced Digital Skills Academies, LEADs, really to make use of all the knowledge that is being also created by other projects. And we also want to assure great visibility. That's why the engagement through the digital skills and job platform will be very useful, because we really want to also connect the competition with industry, with research organizations, with the top quality institutions that we have in Europe. Now, moving to the next slide, please. So the objective, let's say, is twofold. We want to address very important European or local societal, industrial, technological relevant challenges. So tasks of difficult problems that needs to be solved. And we want to do that by engaging young European people in the use of cutting-edge technologies. We want to stimulate their creativity. We want to make them used to work in teams across member states. And we really want that they come up with innovative ideas that can be beneficial to a population, to the economy. For example, they can design new AI solutions for the public sector. And they can help make more efficient for example, manufacturing processes for companies. So it's really a wide scope. So they really can use their knowledge and creativity at the best. Now I would like to spend some time to describing a bit the structure of the competitions that we have in mind. So there will be 6 competitions in 6 digital areas: artificial intelligence, virtual worlds, quantum, semiconductors, destination Earth, and an additional area that will be chosen by the consortium. There will be minimum 3 challenges per each competition, and the competing teams in each competition, in each digital area, will be composed by students from tertiary education institutions or equivalent, from at least 4 different education and training institutions from 4 different member states or countries associated with the Digital Euro program. These are the competing teams. Each single team can be composed of students coming from one single institution. Next slide, please. Now moving to the outcomes and the deliverables. So the outcome, of course, we expect the implementation and rollout of 6 distinct competitions in the 6 digital areas, an award ceremony organized in Brussels with the support of the upcoming project Elevate that we just presented, gathering all the winning teams from the 6 competitions. And we also want the involvement of industry stakeholders, which might lead to some of them, for example, deciding to sponsor the development of the solutions proposed by the teams. That is why the involvement of also industry stakeholders is very important and needs to be ensured. Moving now on to the deliverables. Of course, at least 3 distinct challenges for each of the 6 competition in the 6 digital areas. And we also expect as deliverable, of course, the rule books, 1 for each of the 6 competitions for participants and jury members. The rule books will address the requirements, ensuring also gender, geographical balance, and the rule books should include at minimum the participants' educational level, keeping in mind that we are looking at least tertiary education or equivalent, the team size, and also, for example, conflict of interest rules. Furthermore, the rule books should also clearly define the challenges to be resolved, as I mentioned, and set the evaluation criteria. Then another deliverable is a roadmap outlining and detailing the implementation of the competitions, including the time and duration of each steps, how many rounds of competition for each challenge, of course, the minimum being 1. Then another deliverable is a detailed communication strategy for the promotion of the competitions, including collaboration with initiatives such as Elevate and the Digital Skills and Job Platform. And the communication strategy should also clearly state how the project will achieve the requirements set out under in the rule book. Another deliverable will be a proposal for attractive award packages, which could include, for example, a prize, a trophy, a diploma or certificate, a token from a sponsor for all the winning teams of the competitions. And the final deliverable would be a detailed plan outlining the efforts needed to ensure the financial sustainability of the competitions after the end of the project. So we have left a high level of, let's say, freedom to the consortium to really decide details such as how many rounds per competition, the duration of each phase of the competition, and also the very important task of defining the challenges for each of the technological area of the competition, and that will be a crucial task. And we'll have to ensure the involvement of the best research institute as well as industry stakeholders, because we really want that the competition address, everyday, concrete and real problems that are out there. And those problems will need to be resolved by creating new innovative solutions. Next slide, please. So about the recommended consortium composition is a bit the same as Elevate. For example, we aim at having higher education institutions, vocational education and training institutions, industry partners, research institute, of course, centers of excellence, public administrations, because some challenges can also involve the public sector or need the involvement of the public sector, as well as governmental bodies, IT professionals, and industries. So what the evaluator will look for, so the KPIs, of course, the number of challenges per competition, minimum 3, but can be also more. The number of teams per competition, the number of participants, the number of member states and digital associated countries represented in each competition, then the number of people reached through the communication activities, the number of events organized. So there will be at least one final physical event in Brussels for the award ceremony, but also maybe at least one physical event for each competition, also to give the participants, the teams, the possibility to present their projects to the jury members. And then, of course, also the gender target. And with this, I think I've reached the end of my presentation. So,
Maria, meanwhile, I would like to give a floor for our first two presenters, Maria Domenica Cunidoro and Florin Puiu, for a legal administrative presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay. So hello everyone, my name is Maria Domenica Cunidoro from the Central Validation Service, and that is in the REA, the Research Executive Agency of the Commission. And today, together with my colleague Florin, we are going to show you how to register your organization in the participant register, the legal validation, the LEAR, and the financial capacity assessment. So this is the outline of our presentation. We will start with the role of the Central Validation Service for your project participation. Please bear in mind that registering your organization is necessary for your project participation. Next slide, please. So in our service, we verify the legal existence and legal status of entities, and this is done against the supporting document that we request you at one point. And we need to verify, in fact, all the data according to those documents. We validated the appointment of a legal entity appointed representative, the so-called LEAR. We validated the legal changes of valid entity, always against supporting documents. We assessed the potential mergers, and we performed the universal takeovers when it's the case of a validated entity. And then we have other tasks which are linked to the correct registration of every organization in the system. Next slide, please. So the validation process is made of 4 stations. You can see them here. The first one is the registration of your organization in the participant register. As I said, it's compulsory for your project participation. Next slide, please. So next, sorry, yeah. So the registration is done in the participant register, and the participant register page is in the funding and tenders portal. You see here a print screen of the web page. So for your participation, you will need to get a PIC code, the participant identification code, and you will receive this at the end of your registration in the participant register. Next slide, please. So this is the first page. First of all, it's very important to say, you need to check whether or not your organization is already registered in the system, so it has already a PIC. And in order to do so, you click in here in the searching engine. You see a loop in the white rectangle. If you find your organization, you need to use the PIC of your organization. If your organization is not yet registered, so you need to register it, and you go a little bit down, and there is a blue rectangle where it's written register your organization. You click here. Next slide, please. And by clicking here, a workflow of several steps will open, and you will be requested to introduce here all the data of your organization. It's very straightforward, actually, and it takes like 5 to 7 minutes. It's not difficult, but you need to have some information on hand, like the registration number, VAT number of your organization. Then you need to include some legal information and the authorized user, that is yourself as a self-registrant, or backups, other people that can conclude that then can complete the organization in a later the registration in a later stage. After you introduce all this information, the registration is completed, and you will receive the new participant identification code, the so-called PIC number, and it will be in a declared status, so non-valid. From this moment on, well, from this moment you register your organization, we may ask you the documents to verify your registration anytime. Next slide, please. Thank you. So it's the time of the validation and verification of your the legal data, and this is done by the central validation service. So when we request you the documents, it's important to say that the proposals can be submitted with a declared PIC, so non-valid PIC. So it doesn't have to be validated for you to present your proposal. This is important. And then the registration data of your organization is verified by our service before the signature of the first grant agreement or contract. And then once your PIC is valid, then it can be reused for your future participation in EU-funded projects. So it's all this, the registration and everything is done once. Next slide, please. Yeah, click please, because there are some information. Yes. So the important to say that the validation of from our service is based on the legal supporting document in accordance with the EU financial regulation and the rules of validation. And you have, if you want to have more information, you have the hyperlinks here in the slides that can take you in this text. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of the main document that we request to the participant for the registration of their entity in the register. For private entity, we normally request a recent registration extract or a recent VAT extract, or for public law bodies, we request law decree decision or international organization, the treaties, or for other entities, we request status. And it depends on a case-by-case status, but this is generally what we request at the beginning. Next slide, please. So the third station is the LIR. In fact, the LIR, after the validation of the entity, the appointment of the LIR is mandatory for every organization. And what is a LIR? A LIR is a person. It's a person that is appointed by the legal representative of the organization to be the main contact point of the organization in the framework of the funding and tenders portal project participation. So it's is the person that is the main contact person for us in the participant register, of course. And what is the role and the duties of the LEAR? The LEAR notifies our service, the EU, of changes in the legal data and legal status of the entity, submits legal and financial documents when these are required, manage access rights of person in the organization, but not at the project level, nominates account administrators and individuals authorized to sign the contract and grant agreements and the financial statements. We in the central validation service suggest the LEAR to nominate more than one account administrator, because who are the account administrators? These are the backup of the LEAR in case the LEAR is not available for any reason. So an account administrator can act on behalf on behalf of the organization, in fact. So it's the backup of the LEAR. Next slide, please. It's important for business continuity. So this is the list of documents that we request for the appointment of the LEAR. So we requested the LEAR appointment letter that has to be signed by legal representative and LEAR, and then the official proof of identity of both persons, and the proof of empowerment of the legal representative, of course, because we need to be sure that the person that appoints the LEAR has actually the right to do so. But we check specific documents for this. Next slide, please. The communication. This is a very important information, because all communication between the central validation service and the participant is managed exclusively via the participant register. So we never use Outlook or other source of communication. So it's just via the participant register. And when we request, we send a message via the participant register to the participant, there is a notification that the self-registrant or the LEAR receives, and it looks like this. So when you see this, you see that we have sent a message to you. So if the PIC is not valid, of course, it's the self-registrant, or the LEAR if the PIC is valid. Next slide, please. So now, what happens if I have a LEAR? I have a PIC and I lose access to my my PIC. We have underlined two scenarios. Okay, in case of declared PIC, so the PIC is not valid, then it's not possible to regain access to a non-valid PIC. In that case, the entity has to create a new PIC, and our service be informed, because we need to link the two PICs together, because every entity can have only one PIC. So this is in case of a non-valid PIC. In case of valid PIC, for example, when the LEAR is not available anymore and there are no account administrators, or they are not available, so then the PIC can be reused, but it can be reused, but the new LEAR has to be appointed. And this is possible with the LEAR recovery procedure that is described here in the hyperlink, and it will take you to the page for the LEAR recovery procedure. So the new LEAR will be able to be appointed, and the entity will be given access to their valid PIC. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are at the financial capacity assessment part, and I leave the floor to my colleague Florin. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Marika, for your presentation about legal entity validation. Now let's go to the financial capacity assessments. This presentation is very short, luckily. And I started with the next slides by presenting the legal basis. So if we click on the presentation, we see that the legal basis is composed by three main documents. The first one, the financial regulation. You don't have to read the entire document because it's very big, but you will find the articles 199 and 201, which state that participants must have enough and stable sources of funding throughout the entire life of the project. The second document is the rules on legal entity validation, reappointment, and financial capacity assessment, already mentioned by Marika in her presentation. In this document, you will see what happens in case the information you provide us is contradictory, or what kind of documents we require to perform the financial capacity assessment, and so on. And the third document is the call for proposals, which is also a technical document. And it lays down specifically what happens if, for example, your entity's rating is negative. What happens in this case? What are the contingency measures, and so on? So please have a look on these two documents at least, and just skim a bit the financial regulation, the two articles, to understand why we have to implement the financial capacity assessment. In the next slide, we will see that the financial capacity assessment is needed for all beneficiaries, but public bodies are exempt from this financial evaluation by default. And also, we do not assess individual grant requests of less than 60,000 euros. These are considered low value grants, and we do not perform a financial capacity assessment. We may also request the financial capacity assessment for other entities which have strong business relationships with the participants. In the next slide, we will see what are the documents we request to perform this financial capacity assessment. These are the main accounting documents. These are the balance sheets. And if you click more on the slide 2 times, you will see that we also request the profit and loss accounts. Just please on the click on the and one more time. And we also request the notes attached to these 2 accounting documents. The explanatory notes are very important for us because they provide additional information which normally is not reported in the balance sheet and in the profit and loss account. We talk about details on the accounts, different breakdowns on different items, and additional explanations on how these figures are reported. If we click again on the presentation, this is how it is done. Unfortunately, we see that sometimes we also can request the financial audit reports. In such situations, we request a financial audit report only if the requested EU contribution is above 750,000 euros. Click one more time, please. And we see that if the financial audit report is not compulsory, but you still request more than 750,000 euros, you will need to provide us a self-declaration on the accounts. This is a template document. You don't have to write it from scratch, and you provide it to us. In the next slide, we see that we request these documents for the 2 most recent years available. Just click 2 more times on the slide. This is how the presentation is built, fortunately. So we request this information for 2 most recent years available in the official language, if we talk about EU languages, or accompanied by a translation if we talk about non-EU languages. For newly established entities, we request the business plan with forecast on sales, expenses, and so on, because we need to assess future financial performance, since these entities have not yet reported their balance sheets for the first time. One more click on the presentation, and we see that once done, completed, this assessment is valid for 18 months from the closing date. In this period, if you apply for another action grant or operating grant, we will not request again this type of documents because the financial capacity assessment is still valid for these periods. In the next slide, we see what happens in the participant portal. Here we have dedicated tabs for financial capacity and for messages. In this slide, we see that for the tab financial capacity, you have a blue big button to provide the necessary financial information. You click on this button and you will be directed to the screen where you will upload the financial documents requested for this type of assessment. And in the next slide, we see that in tab messages, you have access to the messages from us, from the Center Validation Service, where we can communicate like that. As mentioned by Marika, we cannot write to emails, we cannot call you on the phone, and so on. Everything must be always registered in the participant portal for audit matters and for future track of the correspondence. In the next slide, we see a list of guidance documents. which may be valuable for you, please have a look on these documents. And as I said, the presentation is very short. We conclude it like that. And please do not hesitate to ask questions if there are any in the chat. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Maria Domenica and Florin. So indeed, as Florin just said, please write the questions, and Maria Domenica and Florin will be there to answer them after our next presentation. So all the questions will be answered. Do not worry. Please continue them rolling in the chat with your name, last name, and email address. And for our next and last presentation of it today, we will have Maria Serella presenting to us all the details of how to submit your application, how it is then evaluated, and what are the award criteria. So, Maria, I will pass the floor now to you. I think your slides are being shown just in the second. So, welcome, Maria.
Thank you very much. Please allow me just a couple of seconds.
We can see them well on the screen now.
You can see them.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So welcome also from my side. My name is Maria Sarela, and I work at the HADEA, which is an executive agency. As Nadia pointed out in the beginning of her presentation, DG Connect is in charge of the policy side, while we at HADEA are the granting authority, managing the call, evaluations, monitoring the projects throughout their life. So I am the call coordinator for this call, and I will give you an overview of the more, let's say, practical part of application. This presentation is designed a bit more thinking on the newcomers of the call applicants, so that you will get a very clear picture what are the steps to go through to apply for this call. So let's get started. Here the overview. So the call is Digital Skills 9. We are on the 9th set of calls, and under this call we have these two topics that you have already heard the presentations about. I just want to remind you about the budget, as there were some questions in the chat as well. So for the Elevate budget, meaning our maximum funding that we can grant to a proposal, is 7.2 million euros, and for the competitions it's 7 million euros. And as it was already said a couple of times, the funding rate in this case is 100% of the budget. So these are coordination and support action type, where we fund the full budget whenever it is within this available funding budget that we have. On the slide, you will also have a direct link in the funding and tenders portal to this call and these two topics. Please take a careful note of the submission deadline. Unfortunately, every call we have, we get some cases where people miss the deadline. So it is always in the afternoon in our case at 5 p.m. Brussels time, and we will close the call for both topics on the 3rd of March. Then evaluation takes a couple of months, and information on the results will be sent to the applicants in June. Then it will take a couple of months to sign the grant agreement with the selected projects, and this would happen before September 2026. Now, on the practical steps. First of all, where do you find the call document? The document which outlines all the requirements and rules about these proposals. So again, it is the funding and tenders portal, the same portal where colleagues from the REA agency also explained you about the registration of the entities. So you would go to the same portal And under the funding tab, you can find all our calls. Here, there is a very powerful search engine. You can use either the call ID, topic name, or even filter by program to find your call. On this page, you will see the both topics displaying on this main page. So by clicking on any of those, you will get to the details of each topic. Now, I suggest that you bookmark this page for the topic that you're interested in. This is really the page where you find all the information you need to complete successfully your proposal. So we have this internal navigation panel with loads of information, all the details you need. And most importantly, a first place to go is the conditions and documents section. So you can either click it directly or you scroll down on the page to reach this section. And here you will have link to the call document. I have also linked it here to ease a bit the search for you. So both the call page with both topics and then the call document, which also includes information on both topics. Now, how to read the call document. The format is always the same. So the whole document is relevant for you, regardless of which of the topics you're interested in. Just that in the beginning of this document, you have a section 2, which is topic specific. So in this section, you will find all the information that applies only to one topic or the other, of course. So these two sections are very important to know what are the differences, let's say, between the two topics and what is the requirement for each. While the other sections from 3 onwards, these are relevant for both topics. So you will really need to read the whole document and see which part applies to the topic you're applying for and which doesn't. Under the topic-specific sections, you have all the key information. So the objectives, scope, outcomes, and deliverables. These were already presented by the colleagues from Connect. Also KPIs, targeted stakeholders, and then type of action, funding rate, and topic-specific conditions. Please read those very carefully. Then on the common part, we have information on the total call budget, the timetable, which I already showed you, and also very important section on admissibility and eligibility. What do we expect from the proposals so that they are eligible and will be evaluated? Then you will also have information on the consortium composition and quite detailed explanation of our award criteria and how we carry out the evaluations for these calls. Now, once you have decided which topic you want to apply for, you go again to the Funding and Tenders portal, you search for the topic you're interested in, you go again to the topic page, and using the internal navigation, you find this section for Start Submission. You will have to select it again and then click OK. You get this little pop-up window where you can still double check that you're selecting the correct topic and then just simply click OK. And from there, the tool will guide you on the all following steps of the process. So once you click OK, you will be directed to the funding submission service. This is the tool you will use to fill in all the information of your proposal. Here you have on the top side of the page, you will always have this metro line indicating the step where you are in the process. And on the left side panel, you will see all the key information. So deadline, how many days are left to apply, the call ID, the topic ID, then also a couple of resources if you need any help. And then I would like to stop for a second in this blue part, which is the Part B templates. The use of this Part B template, which is the technical and narrative part of your proposal, it's obligatory. So you really need to take the template from the submission system. Please do not copy any template that you might have from previous calls. Don't use the example template that can be also found online under the Funding and Tenders portal, but always take the latest version of the template from the submission system, as there might be small changes. Then to start filling in the application, you first insert the PIC number, so the participant identification code. It's a 9-digit code, and as Rea colleagues already said, it doesn't have to be yet validated. It has to be in a registered status at least. And once you have included the first PIC, this kind of makes available and activates all the rest of the administrative forms that need to be filled in the proposal. Now, Part A is the administrative form, and Part B, as I said, the narrative part of your proposal. And with these two documents, you will create the whole proposal of your project. I will go through on the main sections of each part. So Part A, this is all administrative information, and it will be directly filled in the submission system. As I said, the tool guides you through these sections. You can check and validate between the times when you insert new information and see which information is still missing, what needs to be filled in. So there's a very low risk of missing anything, because the tool is quite intelligent and will tell you if something is left empty and should be still filled in. So the general part gets some information already from the selection of the topic, so you don't have to fill it in, such as the call, the topic, type of action, and type of the grant agreement we use. You will also get assigned a proposal number, and then you would have to fill in acronym, title, project duration, keywords, and ask and reply to some declarations. Then the participants section is quite large, so for each partner of the project, you will need to fill in contact details, address, and information on their status, if they participate as affiliated entities, associated partner, or beneficiary of the project. Then there's a budget table as well to be filled in per cost category and partner. And in the last section, there's a table for security issues, which for both topics under this call are obligatory, so it must be completed. You see here a screenshot of the security issues table. You have questions to be answered yes or no. If you answer yes, the form opens and might ask you some additional questions, and then you would need to indicate the page of the Part B under which you discuss these security issues in your proposal, so that when we do these internal checks for the security, we can locate the relevant part of the Part B to be checked for security issues. Then the Part B, as said, you will need to download the template, fill in that template. There are several sections. Most importantly, the first 3 sections of the Part B follow exactly the same structure and naming as our award criteria. So this will help you also to work with your proposal, keeping in mind what are the award criteria that will be used to evaluate your proposal. So under section 1, relevance, you have objectives, contribution to long-term policy objectives and strategies. And then importantly, sections 1.3 and sections 1.4 are not applicable in this call. You will find this information in the call document where it states clearly that these two sections do not apply, so you can just simply let them empty in your application. Then section 2 is about the maturity and the implementation work plan of your project, and also about the capacity of the consortium to carry out the work. And finally, the third section, which is in line with the award criteria, is the section 3, where you will have to describe how you reach the outcomes and deliverables of the project, explain your dissemination and communication activities, and also how the project will benefit the society. And the 3.3 environmental sustainability is not applicable in this call, so you can leave it empty. So after these 3 main sections of the Part B template, there are also a couple of additional parts. Work plan. This is where you will have to describe all the work packages you have designed. So really the work plan, who's doing what, also staff effort, which entities are more involved, which are less involved, who is doing what. And then there's a part of related to the budget. So if you plan any subcontracting, you would need to explain it in the Part B, as well as give information on the large amounts used in purchases and equipment or other cost categories. Then there's also the Gantt chart for the timing of the project and the different work packages. Section 5 concerns ethics and security. So as this is a common template we use for all DEP projects, not all sections are always applicable. And in this case, indeed, ethics is not applicable. You can simply leave it empty. And then the Part B, the security section can also be left here, as you have already filled in a table concerning security under Part A in the administrative forms. Coming almost to the end of the Part B, there's a section called declarations. There are a couple of questions about other EU grants and double funding. So this must be replied to. And then there's an additional section on financial support to third parties. And as it was explained earlier, Elevate does not use this cost category of final support to third parties, but for competitions, it is an eligible cost category. So if used in your proposal, you would also have to take a look at this section and fill it in if necessary. Then at the end of the Part B template, you will find section of annexes, and there's an annex for list of previous project, and this is mandatory for both topics. It's quite logical indeed, because it concerns coordination and support action. These are projects that will have to coordinate and collaborate with a number of other already ongoing projects. So by filling in this list of projects, you will demonstrate to the evaluators your capacity and your networks and the consortium's knowledge on the matter. Now this final annex, it's Annex 4 to the Part B. It should be filled in and uploaded as a separate document. So please take note that if you leave this part in the Part B, which is also okay, but it will eat part of your page limit. So my proposal is that you fill in only until section 6 under the Part B, and then the annex will be a separate document uploaded to the system. This way you can use all the 50 pages you have on the part B on the important elements, and you have enough space to explain everything in sufficient detail. So the annex doesn't count towards this 50-page limit. Now, once you have filled in all the administrative part online and also filled in the part B, you can go directly to the proposal forms step in the submission service and upload these two documents. They are both to be uploaded in PDF. And if you use a different format, actually the program will give you a warning and you will not be able to do it. Page limit is also checked for part B, so you will get a warning if you exceed it. No other documents that you upload will be taken into account during evaluations. This is very important, so do not upload any other documents in the system. Now there's this validation button in the system that you can click at any time. It doesn't mean that it blocks anything. It simply demonstrates if there are some mandatory sections that are empty. So use it frequently just to check which things still to be needs to be filled in. And most importantly, before you do the final submission, also go through the validation and address all the warnings you get. Then we can move on to the award criteria. As I said, the criteria and evaluation process are in detail in the call document, but I will give you the most important information. For DEP, we have 3 main evaluation criteria. And those are in line with the Part B proposal's first 3 sections. So you will find these same titles also in the Part B to be filled in. I have left here in gray those award criteria that do not apply in this call. So as the award criteria, or some of them, are not applicable, at the same time, the Part B sections for those elements are also not applicable. So we have 2 main sub-criteria under relevance, 3 under implementation, and 2 under impact. Then about award criteria and thresholds. Each award criteria will be scored from 0 to 5. But there's a minimum pass score per criterion, which is 3. And in addition to this, the whole proposal should get over 10 points to be able to get funding. So even if all 3 award criteria reach the score of 3 at the score at the award level, it's still not enough high to get funded with 9 points. So the total score should be 10. For questions such as those that you are sending us today via the chat, we will go through them all, and we will update questions and answers for each topic on this topic Q&A section, which is again on the topic page in the Funding and Tenders portal. So I also suggest you visit this section often to see if there are new questions and answers there to help you with the preparation of your proposal. Then if you cannot find the answer to your question, there's also a section for Get Support. And there's a link to this Write to Us form, which you can use to send us any questions. So this is how this form looks like, and our colleagues who receive centrally all the questions, they will send it directly to us and you will get an answer by email. All questions that we receive from individual applicants via the form, we will also upload them in the topic Q&As so that every applicant gets the same information. Now, for other help under the Funding and Tenders portal, there's this section for guidance and documents. It's an excellent place to find very detailed instructions on how to work your proposal and how to do the submission. So there's mainly the online manual and the IT how-to sections. Online manual will guide you really through the whole process, what needs to be done and why in each step. And then the IT how-to is more about detailed technical instructions with screenshots on how to move about with your application. Please use these resources. They are excellent. They are very complete. If you cannot find anything or if you experience technical issues, you can also, of course, contact our technical team. You have the email here, Easy Funding Tender Service Desk, and then a direct phone number as well. So there's a lot of help available. Don't hesitate to ask if you get stuck or if you have technical issues or any doubts. Final tip for applicants. As said, the call document has a very detailed explanation of what are the admissibility and eligibility requirements of the proposals. So first of all, your application must be readable before you upload the Part B to the system, and also after uploading it there. Please take a look at the uploaded version and make sure everything is readable, the PDF is not corrupted, or some tables don't go outside the pages and so forth, so that everything is readable. Use the standard template, as I said, and do not modify the template. Even the sections that are not applicable to you, just leave them there. So templates should not be modified or any sections deleted, even they are not applicable. And the list of previous project is a mandatory annex. You find it in the end of the Part B, but you can upload it as a separate document in the system. For eligibility, very important is to comply with the minimum composition requirements for the consortium. So the call document will tell you which is the minimum number of entities that need to take part in the proposal. These calls always require a proposal made in consortium. Single applicant applications are not eligible. Then security issues table, as said, it is within the Part A. So you simply answer yes or no in all the questions. And if you answer yes, you will have to give answers to additional questions or indicate the proposal Part B page where you discuss these security issues. Again, a reminder of the award criteria. So it is good to prepare your proposal, always keeping in mind the award criteria. Then, of course, the call document section 2, which defines the scope of the call, and then the Part B structure, which I think I repeated already many times, follows exactly the same structure as our award criteria. So the evaluation will be done really based on the award criteria and what are the requirements set in the call section 2, which is the specific part listing all the requirements and expected outcomes of each project. Page limit is 50. This is due to the type of the action, which is coordination and support action. So instead of the regular 70 pages, you will have only 50 pages in Part B to describe your project. And if there are extra pages, either the system will block you from submitting it, or those pages will be kind of deleted. They will not be visible for the evaluators. Then I cannot highlight enough the deadline. Do not leave your submission to the last day. As you might know, you can submit your proposal as many times as you want. Always the last submission prevails. So please start submitting at least 1 week before. Even some details might be still missing. Do the submission many times just to test it and see everything comes out well. If you leave it to the last day, there are very high chances something goes wrong and you will miss the deadline. So really don't hesitate to press the submit button. Nothing bad will happen. On the contrary, doing it well in advance is very, very good practice. Then overlaps and double funding. We have systems in place which detect similarities between proposals. So if you are resubmitting a proposal, you should declare it as a resubmission and carefully answer all the questions in part A about double funding. And then again, visit the topic and the call pages frequently. There might be updates. Sometimes call deadlines could be extended, or we might amend a little bit the call text during the opening of the call. So visiting the page regularly to see if there are updates, and also the questions and answers that we keep updating constantly. This is very important. And that's all from me. A lot of information, and happy to take your questions on the more practical part of submitting a proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm sure it's really, really helpful for those of participants that are perhaps applying for the first time, or maybe even some useful information for those who already tried, maybe had difficulties in the past. So thank you so much. We will now have questions for all 3 presenters. So for Maria Domenica, Florin, and Maria Yu. Before we start, I would like to kindly let you know that we also have our Mentimeter, in which we ask your participants' feedback about today's info day. Your answers help us to improve in the future, or perhaps tailor our info days a bit more towards your needs, help to reply or react to your needs a bit more flexibly or in any better way. So if you have some feedback, some ideas you want to share, please join the Mentimeter and help us to improve. We will have this Mentimeter running for at least 1 week, so you can also answer, of course, after the event. So thank you in advance for those who will be answering Mentimeter. Meanwhile, we are still taking questions in the chat with your name, last name, and email address, of course. And we can start perhaps with you, Maria Domenica, since there can be some questions while you were presenting. So the first one... Yes?
Okay, so I had my phone ringing. I just close it. Sorry.
Okay. No problem, not at all. So the first question is wherever individuals can also register in the portal. So for example, independent researchers or IT experts that are still building the company. Can they create the account?
Yes, they can register as a natural person. Yes, of course. And for them, a different document will be requested. The ID document and also the document for the appointment of the leader, because the individuals, so the natural person, they have to nominate leaders, but it's themselves. So it's the same person that has to nominate themselves, but we still need the documents. So anyway, yes, it's possible.
Thank you very much. And then another question, so that will be a bit harder maybe, but there is a question wherever layer can simply be the project coordinator. So maybe you need to explain again the difference of role in the project and the role of organization inside of organization.
Yeah, okay. The leader generally is a person that works in the central administration of the organization. We cannot tell you cannot be a leader, no, but this is what we request for business continuity. So there needs to be a person that works in the organization. But of course, it's the decision of the legal representative. It's their responsibility to choose who is the person that that will be the contact person, their main contact person. So it can be also a person that comes from outside, but we don't check this. We only check the legal representative details and the proof that tell us that this person really can sign on behalf of the entity. So the responsibility is on the organization and on the legal representative. Then the leader can be a person that they choose.
Perfect, thank you. I hope that is clearer for our participants now. Then we have probably some questions to Maria as well. One of them is asking regarding mandate letters or any other documents that partners need to sign. Are they necessary for this call during the proposal submission stage?
No. So as colleagues from REA already said, the only thing you need from an entity level is the PIC number. And then to submit the proposal, the only documents are requested in the submission system. So it is the part B and the administrative forms in the system, plus the list of previous projects. So no other documents need to be submitted during the submission of the proposal.
Thank you. And one more question about evaluation criteria, I believe. So if applicant proposes budget that is below the threshold, would that give any competitive advantage to such proposal?
That's a good question. The budget is always linked to the activities proposed in the project. So it will be evaluated from that point of view. It is not strange to see budgets which are slightly lower or slightly higher than the maximum funding we get or we give. So this is really up to the applicants. But usually for this kind of calls where we expect one project to be funded, most proposals would request the maximum funding available. This is, let's say, the general way we see things happen, but it's by no means any rule. So the budget has to be efficient and well done for the activities proposed in the project.
Perfect, thank you. And back to Maria Domenica. I think this relates a little bit to what you already responded. So the question is wherever a young company that is registered as an individual entrepreneur, I suppose, still eligible for the funding?
Yes, well, if it's eligible for the funding, this depends on the call, but can be registered as with a PIC, of course, yes, with the name of the person. Yeah.
Great.
As a sole entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that also clarifies to our participants. So I don't see more questions in the chat. So I think we are good. Thank you very much to all the speakers, Maria, Domenica, Florin, and Maria. Thank you so much. I think it was very clear and helpful. And of course, big thanks goes to all the today's speakers. We had really a large number of presentations, and I really hope that facilitates application process for all of those that are interested. If your questions had not been answered yet, because I see some things might be coming in the last moment, do not worry. This is why we ask for name and email address. You will receive your answers, and please note that all the answers will also be published in the platform. So thank you once again. And then for the participants, before we finish today, I would like to kindly remind that Mentimeter is open for one more week. And you can give us feedback, tell us what you think of today's event, and let us improve for the 10th Digital Euro Program call and the next Info Day. And then I ask for the next slide. Since many of you did very well introducing themselves, sharing contacts already here today. One slide back. So yes, we are good. So since we had some of you sharing contacts, I'm asking about the future matchmakings. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there will be a matchmaking event next week. Please follow this QR code and please note that registration for matchmaking is done in 2 steps. First, you register for the event, and then on the platform, you have to register your profile for the matchmaking, based on which you will, of course, make your matches. So just follow the QR, everything will be explained there. And next slide. Additional possibility to continue collaborating and continuing any discussions or exchanges can be done on Digital Skills and Jobs platform. You just need to go to the discussion for the partners in the networking group, and you can pitch your organization, connect with people, and start conversation already there. So a great way to first do that, connect, and then use matchmaking to further talk more details on specific topics that you like. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you already next week. Interested in the calls, ready to apply and ready to network and find your partners. Thank you, and see you in the future events of Digital Skills and Jobs platform.